Good evening to all of you. Today we will watch how to perform multiple regression, and with the help of SPSS, we take an example from social science, and then we will extend it to see how the data is collected, how they are arranged, and then how to do the entire exercise of multiple regression in SPSS. So let us start this presentation. First let us look at a regression. Regression is analysis is used for estimating or for predicting the value of an unknown variable from a set of known variables. If there is only one variable whose help we take to estimate another variable, then this is called as a simple regression. But if we extend it to more number of variables based on which we are trying to predict one particular variable, then that is called as an example of multiple regression. If we want to understand regression, we require to understand that we have here in this entire set two types of variables. This means all the variables that we have can be classified into two groups. One is called as the dependent variable, and the dependent variable is given by generally represented by y, and the independent variable is generally represented by x1, x2, etc. So if there is only one variable, then the dependent variable is represented by y, and the independent variable is represented by x. So the dependent variable is actually that variable on which we are interested. That means we have something like this, that we have a particular variable. This is what now everywhere there is rainfall. So let us say rainfall is our variable in which we are interested. Rainfall is measured in centimeters. Rainfall is measured in centimeters. So let us say that y is a variable which represents the rainfall. So I have the values of y, like I have rainfall for some of the days. I do have rainfall. And then this rainfall might be dependent on some other factors like x1, this may be the temperature. So I have correspondingly temperature values for last 10 days. Then it also depends on say humidity x2. So I have for the last 10 days some values of humidity as well. Now in multiple regression, what we want is that we want some relation like this, say a plus b1 x1 plus b2 x2. Okay, now what happens based on this data set, we will actually estimate the values of A1, B1 and B2. Say A1 comes out to be 3.2, B1 comes out to be say 1.6, X1, and B2 say negative value, I get 2.3 X2. Now what happens in this case, if I know the value of X1 and if I know the value of X2, then I can predict the value of Y. So this is the purpose of multiple regression. So this variable y, this is called as the dependent variable, and these variable x1 and x2, these are called as the independent variables. Independent variables. So we have this dependent variable and the independent variables, and this is all the things which can be done with multiple regression. Basic purpose is to estimate the value of parameters, but definitely we require some data to do that. So already existing some such combinations, like this is one combination, this is another combination, will be necessary to reach this point where we can estimate the values of A, B and C. Here one thing is interesting, and it is that we need to have, or we shall have, the values of x1, x2, etc. And y. These such combinations should be at least 10 times the number of variables. This, for example, there are two independent variables, so the number of observations for fitting a regression equation like this should be at least 2 into 5. This is the minimum requirement, 10, and some people tell that no, that is not good enough. 2 into 10, that means 2 independent variables into at least 10 observations should be there. So this is 20 observations should be there. So this is one observation, this is another observation, this is another observation. Like this, we need at least 20 observations according to some people. According to some people, it is 5 times of the number of variables, so that comes out to be 10. To be in the safer side, to make both the groups happy, we'll go with 20. That for example, if we have two variables, independent variables, then fit and regression we require at least 20 observations. So that will give us good estimates, that will give us reliable estimates of the values of A, B1 and B2. Now what is the advantage? What is the advantage if I have this equation? What I will gain? What I will gain is that first thing I will understand that who has how much control on Y. Whether X is having more control on Y, or X1 is having more control on Y, or X2 is having more control on Y. We also understand that if the value of X increases, then Y also increases because this value is positive. However, in case of X2, we understand that if the value of X2 increases, Y will show a decrease. So that's why it is the negative value. So this is positive value, this is negative value. That we understand from this exercise. Also, we understand that are all of them equally important for Y. Both X1 and X2 are equally important for Y. This important word is used as a term called as significant. Okay. So whether X1, X2 both are significant, that also we understand, and or any one of them are significant or none of them are significant, that also we understand. And once we settle with our equation, we can predict the value of Y if I know the value of X1 and if I know the value of X2. That means if I know the value of X1, X2, now I can predict what will be the value of Y. So this helps me in prediction as well. So when we take up an example and put it forward, then we can have it. Now the purpose of multiple regression. Let us look at what is the purpose of multiple regression, why we are doing multiple regression. Already I have discussed. Let us have it in black and white. Okay, you can tell that red and white because my text is red and the background is white. So instead of telling black and white, you may have it in red and white. Okay. When there is a dependent variable Y which seems to be influenced by several other independent variables, then we use multiple regression. We want to predict the value of the dependent variable, that is predict the value of Y for a given set of values of the independent variables, that is X1, X2, etc. And or we want to find out which are the variables that have a significant role on the dependent variable. So what are the variables that are having a significant important role on the value of the dependent variable? So these are the things which we need, which multiple regression actually addresses. So at this stage, if you have some questions, we may take these questions. Okay. Okay, we proceed forward. So I think I am audible at your end.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Actually, it is raining very heavily here. I think it is so same here in your place also.
Yes, sir. Same here in Duliadan.
Yeah, it's raining very heavily. Anyway, so this is the general regression equation. You see, if you look at this, this is the general regression equation. So y equal to, it is written generally, you may write in terms of A or B, doesn't matter. But generally it is written with the help of beta, like beta 1 associated with x1, beta 2 associated with x2, and beta k associated with xk. We assume that there are k independent variables. And then these beta naught, this is called as the intercept or the constant of regression. These are called as the partial regression coefficients, and epsilon is the residual term, and then we have x1, x2, etc. And these are called as the independent variables, and y is called as the dependent variable. So these are the names or terminologies that are associated with linear regression, multiple linear regression. So what we want to do is that based on data, we want to estimate these values in numerical terms, so that I can get a very good equation with the help of which you can estimate. Now there are some assumptions in multiple regression, because we data need to follow something which is very important. First assumption and the most important assumption is that that the dependent variable should follow a normal distribution. So there is something called as normal distribution. The dependent variable, that is y variable, should follow this normal distribution. Because assumptions are something which should be followed for a particular statistical process should take place. Like you see in operation, suppose you want to go for a surgery, you have to satisfy certain norms, like your pressure should be normal, your heart function should be normal, then your blood sugar level should be to a means even if not normal, it should be uh, low, not creating a risk for operation not to be done. So many a case you must have heard about people taken in the operation table and then returned back because the doctors were not satisfied with the health parameters of the patient, whether he could resist a operation. Now, given this stage, let us come forward. The independent variables are not related to each other. So the patient was not operated because he did not satisfy certain norms. Similarly, a statistical technique needs to be certified by the assumptions. If the assumptions are not certified, we cannot apply the technique there. If we apply, it may take us to wrong results. So that is the thing. Independent variables are not related to each other. That means in the previous equation, you have seen the independent variables like this is one independent variable. This is another independent variable. This is another independent variable. Now these independent variables are not related to each other. That means if the independence variables are related, then this regression will not work equal. So then it to be independent from each other. So that is one thing. Each of the observations are recorded free from the other. This is generally done, so you may assume that this is already done. The observations are not related to each other. Means if I take the measurement of temperature, humidity of today, it will not influence the temperature and humidity tomorrow. So this is the thing that they are independent of, not related to each other. Error terms are independently distributed with a constant variance and an expected value 0. Okay, give it just need to summarize this. Things might come in the exam at some point of time. Now let us go to the problem and let us try to find out that how this problem is solved or how this is been attended. So here a particular individual, so this individual, he is performing a study. What is the study? And the study is about political awareness of women. So he, in a particular village, say Ramgarh. In Ramgarh. So this person goes to Ramgarh, that Shole wala Ramgarh. So this is Ramgarh. Samba. So this is Samba is coming to perform the survey. Now Samba is visiting, say, the female population, obviously, because he want to know the political awareness of the ladies. Okay, ladies of the village of Ramgarh. So that is the objective of his survey. So this is Samba ka bacha. Abhi wo researcher ban gaya, Samba ka bacha. So now Samba's son. So Samba's son is now visiting this woman of Ramgarh. He is collecting the information from this female. So what is his approach? Let us see. So this is his questionnaire. देखो कितना फाटा पुराना कागज में क्वेश्चनर प्रिंट करके ले आया. So anyway, so it doesn't matter. So identification information. So he has some identification information in the questionnaire. That means already we had studied how to develop questionnaire, etc. We know the identification information helps us to reach that particular individual, etc. So we have this name of the respondent, address, phone number. These are the information of the respondent that we are going to collect. He is going, Samba ka bacha will collect from every individual. You will collect information regarding age. You will collect information regarding years of formal education and if they read newspaper regularly. Okay. So these are his variables, independent variables, and he will also collect information about whether the individual belongs to general category, SC/ST category or OBC. Okay. So these are the different types of variables that information will be collected. Now here comes the dependent variable concept. Dependent variable, what he wants to measure? Political awareness. So he tells about a political awareness score. What is that? That he will ask some few simple questions which every person living in a democratic country should know. Like what is the minimum age of voting? How many years, after how many years the voting of Lok Sabha is conducted generally? Your locality falls under which Lok Sabha constituency? Which political party is currently ruling your ruling party in your state? So like these 10 questions. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Simple question. Which are people should be aware, they should know. And this Samba ka bacha, let us give him a name, Bamba. So Bamba is going to the village Ramgarh and he is asking these questions from the different individuals. Now what happens? He will get a score. These This answer to these questions will give a score. For example, suppose let us take one lady, say Basanti. Say Basanti is a resident of Ramgarh. So Bamba is asking Basanti that Basanti, you tell me this. Now, out of 10 such questions, say Basanti, 8 of them are correct. So how much marks 8 get? She gets? She gets 8. Okay. Now this is the dependent variable. This is dependent variable. This is performance awareness score. Pass. Now this is related to this. So this is equal to alpha plus beta 1 into age plus beta 2 into years of formal education plus beta 3 into now we'll take up this later on. This is little bit complicated, so let us keep it for the time being for the side. Years of formal education plus beta 3 into do you read newspaper. So that is say that is years of formal education. This is say I give it a name RN. RN means read newspaper, like this. So now this is so this we call as Y. Now we want to satisfy set up an equation like this for which I collect the data. So what will the advantage if I can set an equation? Advantage is that I can understand that out of age, years of formal education, and do you read newspaper, out of this which one has more influence on performance awareness score? Is age more important? That means if age, whether age is positively related, if it is positively related, then this one will be plus. If it is negatively related, this one will be minus. So that is the concept. Whether age is positively related to Y. Y means knowledge. That means political awareness score. So these will tell us the story. So let us proceed forward. And so is the problem clear to you? What the researcher Bamba is going to do? Is the problem clear? If it is not clear to you, you may ask me. I will repeat once again.
No, not clear.
Clear?
No,
Not
sir.
clear.
It's not clear.
No, sir. Not clear.
Okay. Okay, now this is okay. Let us put it like this: that we live in a democratic country. In a democratic country, the success of a democratic country will take place only if people understand about their rights, their duties, and they are politically aware about what is going on in the country, what are the policies that the government are bringing, whether the policies are beneficial for the country or it is taking the country in a downward trend. All these things are required in order to understand democracy. Now our country is okay, fine, it is the largest democracy, but the thing is that education is there, education has reached the nook and corner, but there is always scope of improvement. Our country requires people to be more politically aware. Some places of the country are there where people are politically aware. Some people people का कोई लेना देना नहीं, क्या है, कोई सरकार बना है, हमारा क्या? But the thing is that people should have some knowledge. So a researcher whose name is Bamba. So let us have him here. So his researcher's name is Bamba. So he is actually son of Sambha. So that is not important. Okay, Bamba is a researcher. He wants to find out that in a village called Ramgarh, whether women are politically aware. Now, women are politically aware. It is very important because hypothetically, half of the population are women. So half of our voters are women. So women should be politically aware. Men should also be politically aware, and it is not that men are politically much aware than women, but he wants to survey on women. I don't know why, but he wants to survey. Now, what is the approach there? First is that he wants to know how much political awareness there is in the woman individually. So what happens? He has taken a set of 4 questions I have written, but assume that he has taken a set of 10 questions, which are very simple questions related to democracy or related to our country's electoral process. Like what is the minimum age of voting? How many years? As you can see, there is 4 questions you can read out. So these are very simple questions. There are actually 6 more questions. There is no space, so I have not written. Now what happens? He is asking this question to the woman. He went to say Basanti. So he went to Basanti. So then he went to Jaibanti. Like this, here he is collecting from different people. So what happens when he goes to Basanti? So he asks 10 questions and Basanti is able to get a score of 8. So like this, he has collected the information from 200 people, 200 women of the village, say 200 women. He has also collected some information like age, like years of formal education, do they read newspaper regularly, and if they belong to general category, SC and OBC. Now he wants to find out that this score, not only Basanti score, but on an aggregate, taking all people together, this score, let us give it a name, performance awareness score. This score is related to which one? Whether it is related to age, whether it is related to years of formal education, whether it is related to reading of newspaper, whether it is related to the categories. You want to find it out. Or it is related to 2 of them, 2 others are not related. There is no way that no way age is having any impact of performance awareness score, or whatever, which combination that he want to find out. So that is the objective of his study. Now is it clear? Now is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us proceed forward and see what is the type of information. These are different types of thing that this particular first part, that is not much important, but that is important not for the survey but for other purpose, that is identification information. If there is some error in this, suppose someone has ticked in general category yes, in scheduled tribe also yes, he has ticked. Now not she has ticked. Now you want to perform, go back to that lady and ask that which category, you have ticked both places. So for that we require to contact this. So this is called as identification information. These are some questions which are questions, this part are performance awareness score. That means for understanding the political awareness, we require these questions. And these questions are some demographic questions which we are going to consider as our independent variable in the regression model. And dependent variable is our ultimate interest. Our ultimate interest is in political awareness score. So that's why we come here. So this is the purpose of this. So let us proceed. Can we estimate the political awareness score of a subject? Subject means a lady, given her demographic information. Yes, we can. What is the roadmap? Very good. Here political awareness score is the dependent variable, and other demographic variables are the independent variables. Let us establish a relationship between political awareness score and the demographic variables. This is called as multiple regression. So this is the purpose of multiple regression. I already discussed in the previous slide. But how to do that? Okay. So let us see how to do that. So this is my data set. This data set is typed in SPSS. Here I am average data set. That's why it is written here averaged view. Average means partial. So I have many people. So out of which this is their political awareness score 6.5, 9.5 like this. We have political awareness score. I have their age, I have the years of formal education, I have newspaper, whether they read newspaper or not. So this is in the form of yes and no. And general yes, SC, ST yes or no, like this OBC yes or no. This column here is OBC. No, OBC is not there because there are 3 categories. One is general, one is SC, ST, together SC, ST is taken together, another is OBC. So in the regression model, we don't take OBC because if this general is 0, SC is 0, then automatically the person will be OBC. Here what happens? Yes is represented by 1 and 0 represented, no is represented by 0. Let us have a view in SPSS that how SPSS data set looks like. So we are going to SPSS. So this is my SPSS window. In this SPSS window, as you can see, this is the awareness score. This is the age. This is the years of formal education. This is newspaper reading. So this is actually a little bit different types of data set. So let us have this in the screen only. So we have this data set. We have taken the photograph from our screenshot from SPSS. Now what we do next is that we go to, this is our dependent variable and these are our independent variables. Initially we start with a simple model taking two independent variables only, one dependent and two independent variables. So now let us go to this, we go to analyze, we know go to descriptive statistics and we go to PP plots. So analyze descriptive statistics and give to PP plots. Now we have this, we have click political awareness, we click it and bring it in this side. Okay, why we are doing this? We need to check the assumptions. You see, if you remember, one assumption was that the dependent variable is normally distributed. So what we do, once we type the data, we first identify our dependent variable. So aware score, that is our dependent variable. So what we do, we go to analyze, we go to descriptive statistics and then we go to PP plots. This will help me to understand whether that variable is normally distributed. So after that, once we click on PP plot, this small window comes. In the left hand side you will find the name of all these variables. So we select political awareness and then we click here. As soon as we click here, this political awareness variable comes here. So we have to check its normality. So here test distribution normal already written and distribution of estimated from data. Fine, no problem with this. Just you click on OK. So once you click on OK, we get this. So you see the points are in and around this particular line. So this is very simple interpretation of probability plot, that if the points are far away from the line, then we understand that data is not following a normal distribution. For example, once we plot and if we find that the data set is coming especially at the tails, that this is the tail. At the tail, if you find that okay, the points are moving around like this, or here it is moving around like this, then instead of being in close to the line, that means there the tendency is there, the data is not normally distributed. But since the points are more or less around the straight line, so we assume or we understand that data is quite nicely normally distributed. So my first assumption is passed. Okay, let us go now to directly to regression. Okay, before that we want to check that the independent variables are not related to each other. Another assumption, analyze, correlate, bivariate. So we come here and once we click on bivariate, we get this particular form. So what is our independent variables? One is age and another is years. You may tell that there are other variables also. Now this is my dependent variable, I will not touch it now. Other independent variables are there, but we will use it later on. Let us, for the time being, let us use this. Okay, because we will start with a small model, then improve on our model if required. And then I click on OK. Once we click on OK, then we get this table. Here you see that they are telling that age at last birthday and years of formal education. There is a relation and the relation is negative. It means if a person who is having more age will have more years of formal education. That means there is a relationship between these two variables, and hence both the variables, that is age at last birthday and years of formal education, should not be considered together in the model. That means our model, because whatever information is there in age, many such information is also available in years, so they should not be used simultaneously in the model. Now we come to this, we come to analyze, we come to regression, and we come to linear. So analyze, regression, linear. So we have these three steps: analyze, regression, linear, and then we click on enter. Now we come here, this regression, and here we take the political awareness. We are starting now regression. Okay, we are bringing political awareness here by clicking this one. Automatically I select this and click this. So in the next, this political awareness comes in this part. Okay. Then what we do is that we select the two independent variables, this one, and then we select this, click this to bring it here. So I know they are related, but I want to show how regression works anyways. So let us go forward. Now what to do? Now we click on OK. Very good. Now once we click on OK, we get these three paragraphs. 1, 2, 3. Now let us see how to, not paragraphs, sorry, tables. How to interpret this. How to interpret this? First we look at this. First we look at this column, this value. If this value is less than 0.05, if it is less than 0.05, that means ANOVA is telling that the regression is significant. Regression is significant matlab ki we are significant. That means this is good. This is good. We have a good answer. Now this is, next we go to R square. Next we go to R square. Now we go to R square. This means that R square is, let us look at 0.556 multiplied by 100, and that is 55.6. That means there is a 55% chance or 55.6% of the dependent variable. That it means performance awareness score is explained by years of formal education and age. That means it could have been more, but this is also good enough as we understand from ANOVA. ANOVA is giving the certificate. इतना है, ठीक है, चलो चलो आगे बढ़ो, ऐसा बोल रहा है. और कितना एक्सप्लेन कर रहा है, कितना ये दो वेरिएबल ईयर्स ऑफ फॉर्मल एजुकेशन और एज एक्सप्लेन कर रहा है वाई का. वाई मतलब परफॉर्मेंस अवेयरनेस को. दिस वी आर गेटिंग फ्रॉम दिस वैल्यू, दैट इज 55.6. now we come here. This gives me the equation, and the equation is that performance awareness score PAS is equal to this is 9.589, that is the constant of regression, then minus 0.054 into age and plus 0.04 into years of formal education. So this is the equation we get. Out of this equation, here you can see these values. Now this value is less than 0.05, that means age is a very important variable. But years of formal education, this p value is not less than 0.05, it is greater than 0.05, and so years of formal education is not a significant variable. That means there is nothing in years of formal education, and that we cannot think or we cannot say that if a person studies more number of years, then she will be more politically aware. That we cannot say. But age is having, interestingly, age is, look at this, age is a negative coefficient and it is significant. What does it mean? It means that if age increases, then political awareness decreases. It means in the village Ramgarh, the older women are less politically aware and the younger women are more politically aware. So that is what we understand from this regression equation. So we understand that one very useless variable is there in the model. So we understand that, okay, better to remove it and do something else. So this is the basic regression that we have, multiple regression that we have run. So in case you have any questions, you can ask now. So you see, this is the equation that we have ultimately. Okay. Now let us do, how does regression equation help us? So how it helps us? First is that we have a regression equation helps us because we get a mathematical form like this. So we started with a questionnaire. After some time, you see, we have got an equation. What is the advantage? Suppose this lady, her age is 52 years. Her years of formal education is 4, means chauthi pass. She is only chauthi pass. So what happens? So when we put it there, that is like this into age and then this into years of formal education, then this. .94. So This is her political awareness score. This is estimated, not the actual. I did not ask her any question. But based on her age, based on her years of formal education, and based on the equation that we have estimated her performance awareness, sorry, political awareness score. Actually, we ask, then we may find little bit different, but it will be close to this value 6.94. So this is the estimate. This is how we estimate it. For example, I have, but is the value exact? Answer is no. When we actually ask this lady about all these questions, her performance awareness scores have come out to be 4.64. So this 4.64 is actual value because I have asked her questions and get this value, and this is the predicted value. The difference between these two is called as the residual, observed minus expected. So this is the observed, and this is coming out from the equation, so that is expected. So observed minus expected equal to residual. Residual may be negative, may be positive. That means the system told that she will get 6.94, but actually her score came out to be little less, 6.4. So this is how the model is used. Now you may ask me that if I have this, the exact value, what is the need of computing or predicting? Yeah, in this case I have the exact value, but many a case it may so happen that I do not have the exact value. In that case, we can actually measure it out. We can find out what is the residual. So this is the advantage of this model. Okay, so next we proceed to the next part. Now we introduce a dummy variable. Dummy variable means something which is in the form of yes or no. For example, suppose this one, do you read newspaper? Yes or no. Or whether newspaper comes to your home. So if newspaper comes to your home, then every person will read a little bit of the newspaper. At least they will try to and get some time reading the newspaper. So now people are reading the newspaper. Some people are telling no, some people are telling yes. Now I require to include this one in the model, but strangely you see this is number, this is also number, this is also number, but this is not number. These are like statements like yes or no or words. So how this we can convert into variable, because unless and until we can convert it into a variable, we will not be able to run the regression. What we do, if it is no, then in that place we write 0, and if it is yes, then this place we write 1. So this is 1, this is 1, this is 0, this is 1. In the video tutorials related to fundamentals of SPSS, if you visit that, you will see, or you will find out how we use the codes. Right? There is a process in SPSS where we can give the code. So we have given the code 0 for no and yes for 1. So we have a set of codes for this. Now we go to this particular SPSS data file. So these yes and no, which you are seeing yes and no, are actually coded in the backdrop as 0 and 1. Now we proceed in the same way. We go to analyze, we go to regression, we go to linear, and then we click there, we get this. We take this one in this side, dependent variable. We bring age and we bring years of formal education. Now this time you see I am not taking years of formal education, because in the previous exercise that we had done, we have found that years of formal education is not a significant variable. Significant variables means it does not have any impact on the dependent variable. Why? This means that if there is a dependent variable, it does not have a significant impact on the dependent variable. Why? It means that if there is an independent variable which is not significant, we shall not carry it with us. It will unnecessarily increase the burden of our model. So we have dropped this and bring in a new variable which is in the form of quotes. And then what we do, we click on OK. Oh, as simple as that, as simple as that. And once again, we get the same 3 tables, but with the different variables and obviously with the different values. So let us start. First we will have pehli nazar towards this table, second table first. This is the p value. What is the p value? It is less than 0.05. So this tells that the ANOVA is significant. Okay, pass. And why significant means we can go ahead with the model. Model is otherwise good. Okay, now let us look at the R square value. Earlier it was 0.55, now it is 0.65, even better. That means 0.658 multiplied by 100, and that is 65.8. It means that the model, that means the dependent variable, that is Y, is actually newspaper at home, and the age in your last birthday. These two things are actually explaining the variable Y. How much? 65.8%. That means 65.8%. These two variables are having control over Y. And other things might be there which we are not considering in the model, that is taking control about the remaining, what is there, 35%, around 35%. So okay, pass, first one pass, second one pass. Now we go to the third model. So this is constant, these are the two variables. So this gives me the equation. What is the equation? Performance awareness score. I think I'll have it also in the yes, and is it? Yes. You see this equation, no need to write, I have already written it. 9.088 minus 4.045H plus 0.957 newspaper. So out of them, who are significant? Two variables. The age variable is significant and the newspaper variable is also significant, because in both the cases the p value, that is p value, this is the p value. In both the cases the p value is less than 0.05. So both the variables, that is this variable and that variable, are significant. Okay. So I am very happy. I don't have any burden in my model. Now newspaper will come, and so what is the let me try to interpret this result. Do I have an interpretation? No. Okay, so we interpret the result. What is the interpretation? That performance awareness score, age is negatively related but significant. That means as age increases, political awareness score of the ladies will come down. Newspaper, it is positive, it is 0.957. That means if there is newspaper at home, or if the lady is reading the newspaper, then the lady will be more informative. If the lady is not reading the newspaper, that is 0, then this lady will be less informative. That means newspaper has a positive impact, age has a negative impact. How much? This is the values. These are the values. Okay. Now, what if the variables have more than two categories? That means we had one yes no, like whether there is newspaper, reading newspaper or not. If there are more than two categories, like for example this one. Now you see this general, SC/ST, OBC. So instead of two, this variable category has three options. General, that means there are three possibilities. Now if this is cases, then what we do is that instead of taking, there are three groups, then we'll take two more variables, two more, not three, two more. That means if there are k options, we take k minus 1 categories. K options, then we have k minus 1 categories. So how is this general category 1 and 0, scheduled tribe 1, scheduled caste scheduled tribe 1 and 0, OBC 1 and 0. So this way we will arrange it in the question and not in this form. This form is maybe good for collecting data, but these will be good for analysis. In analysis, I will create two variables, not three, because the presence of two variables, the answer of the two variables will take the third one. For example, if we go back, let us have it here, rough sum of this. Why we will take 2 and not 3? The reason is that the answer to any two of them will tell me what is the answer of the third. For example, suppose I belong to say SC/ST category. In that, what happens? I will give in general no, in SC/ST 1. Then you understand what will be the answer of this. Since I have already ticked yes here, that means my OBC answer will be no, because these are mutually exclusive groups. You cannot be in all the three groups simultaneously. So you understand. Now suppose I have given no here, I have also given no here. That means I am neither general nor SC/ST category. That means obviously I will be in yes here. So that's why the third variable is redundant. The answer to the third variable will be clear from the first two variables. And so instead of keeping three variables, we will now take two variables, that is one for general, one for SC/ST. So my model is, my data set looking like this. I will have many values, not only 10. I have 11, 12, many observations. This is the abridged view. So this is the awareness score, this is the age, this is the education in years of education, these newspapers, this is the general yes, no, and then this is the SC/ST. So this is the setup of this data set. And in that case, we come here, we come to analyze the political awareness, we throw it in this, we take age, newspaper at home, general category, SC/ST category, we take this here. So what is our independent variable? Political awareness score, we take is there, age, we take it this side, newspaper, we take it this side, general, we take it this side, SC/ST, we take it this side. So these are my independent and dependent variables. Now you see many equations, many equations are independent, sorry, many variables are now my independent variables. So let us look at this. So what you do, you know, now you have to press OK and we get this. So you see this is, we know what you need to do. This is significant, fine. This is R square value has increased little bit more. Earlier it was 0.65, now 682. And this is giving me the regression equation. Who among them are significant? Constant you leave it, not so important. Age is significant, newspaper at home is significant, but category is not significant. You see, this is not significant, this is not significant. But this general or SC/ST, this is in relation to which one is not there. Who is not there? OBC. So in relation to OBC, are general category more PAS, politically awareness? No. In comparison to OBC, is SC/ST more politically aware? No. Why no? Because this value is more than 0.05. This value is more than 0.05. So this is the situation in which it is. And so this is how we can proceed. We cannot, this means that this category wala concept, this is not useful. This variable, category wala variable is not very useful. So ultimately we come to this. Which regression equation to pick up? That means I had shown many regression equation. One is with years of formal education and with age. Another one is age and whether the person is having newspaper at home. One. Another regression equation with SC/ST, OBC, all that, and then years of formal education, etc. So out of these several regression equations, all of them were significant. But out of this, which one shall I go with? How to understand? First one. This is the regression equation, one regression equation. Is it good? This equation is significant, but two independent variables, age and years of formal education, are related to each other. If you remember, we have shown that these were related to each other. After that also, Jabardasti, we had done the regression. Also another problem is there, that years of formal education, we found that it is not significant, underline. So why to use this insignificant variable? Leave it, go to the next other equation. We have this one, age and newspaper. This was significant. Here the independent variable age was not age, newspaper was a dummy variable, and dummy variable was also significant, age is also significant, equation is good, equation is pyarasa, and all these things happened. We had a bigger equation like this, but in this equation we had many variables. One thing, this equation was significant, but this age and newspaper were significant, but this general, this SC/ST, they were not significant. That means this model is carrying some insignificant variables, though the value of R square was little more, but even then, considering everything, I found this is the fittest one. I think one tick will come. Yeah, this is the fittest one, and this is the good regression coefficient. Now how to report the findings of the regression analysis, that how to report it. Okay, tell about the value of R square. R square you have to tell, and also comment on the amount of variance explained by the independent variables. Express it if the overall regression is significant or not. That is table number 2. The table number 2 will tell that the overall regression is significant or not. Provide the regression equation and express which of the variables are significant along with p-value. So this is what and this is how we should report the result of a regression equation. Let us have it here that this same regression which I have done, I have found that the second one is best. Let us report it. So we are putting like this: a political awareness score as a dependent variable. A multiple regression is run with several variables like age, years of formal education, habit of reading newspaper, and category of the respondent, with 3 and 4 present in the system as dummy variables. Okay. Our several trials, age and habit of newspaper were retained. On several trials, age and habit of reading newspaper were retained as the independent variables. Other independent variables were cancelled. So why it was cancelled, you may tell, or you may write the report like this. The value of R square for this equation, that means where you have taken age and habit of reading newspaper, that means number 2, equation number 2 that I showed in last slide, reading newspaper. These are the independent variables, and the total amount of variance explained is 65.8, and that is the political awareness score. So this for the ANOVA of the test provides the regression is significant, p-value less than 0.05. The regression equation stands as this, where age and newspaper are significant at 5% level, obviously because p-value was less than 0.05. So this is the result of the regression equation that we ultimately have found out. So we can actually close our presentation at this stage. There are some little more things, but that is not relevant for you. So this is the purpose of regression. This is how linear regression, multiple linear regression is performed in SPSS. So let us stop the presentation here and take your questions now.